Do you like my hat? Joking! Hey guys, Chris from Average Eskate Reviews here, and today in this video we're going to be giving you a very quick first impressions of the Exway Flex now that we finally have one. First things first, I've not ridden a board like this in quite a while, so what I did to kind of give myself a base so I kind of knew what I would expect and had a foundation to start off building my assumptions and opinions was by riding the boosted board Stealth. In my opinion, I think that is a really close match, of course not in price, but in terms of performance, look, feel, to the Exway Flex. So that's what I did. I jumped on the boosted, spent some time just ripping around on that to get a feel for, again, riding boards that don't have double kingpin trucks, that don't have all-terrain wheels, to get myself into the right mind state to be able to give you a better first impressions. Now, the first thing I've got to say is I really like the deck on the Exway Flex. One of the things I've got to say is that it looks very similar if you're looking at videos of people kind of like bouncing up and down on it on YouTube. But when you get onto it, if you've been on a boosted board before, boosted board's flex is much softer and not as springy. So you feel like, essentially, if you were to bounce up and down and treat it like a trampoline, you'd go much, much higher on the flex, if that makes any sense. But aside from that, one thing I've got to say is that this board rides better than the boosted board Stealth, which completely caught me off guard, because when you look at the price in pounds, not buying it in the UK, but directly on Exway's website, the Exway works out about £597. And we all know the boosted boards are well over £1,000. So I am stunned. If you're wondering which one of these boards is the better one or which one I would have, based on the ride, the speed, 100% would pick the Exway Flex over the boosted board. In terms of boards that look like that I've ridden, I think that is one of the best ones that we've gotten our hands on so far. I'm eager to see how this compares against the Zealot and also the G3 from Backfire, and hopefully we'll be able to make that video happen soon. Now, touching on a couple of other things, of course you guys know I'm going to talk about the speed. How did it match up against the boosted board? If you're curious, the boosted board has way more torque than the Exway Flex, but the second the Exway gets up to speed, it catches up to the boosted board and then will eventually go past it. So off the line, it's not quicker than the boosted board, but top end, it is. The top speed on Exway's website is advertised at 25 miles an hour, but just ripping up and down the road in front of my office, we were able to hit 27, like without even really trying to push the board at all. And on top of that, the battery was on about 75%, not even 100%. So again, it's really nice that Exway continue to do this. They give you a top speed that you can easily blow past, which is great. The grip on the tires, or rather the wheels, was quite surprising as well. 85mm wheels aren't something I'd ever consider riding, but they held the road so well. I didn't feel it slipping out like I normally do. I didn't have street wheel anxiety, is what I call it now, and felt like I needed to default back to the AT wheels. But I'm stunned. Like, first impressions of the board are phenomenal. Also, in terms of the braking, I actually criticized the braking when I first got on the board, but it was a little bit wet the first time I went out on the board, so I didn't really take that into consideration. It's bone dry outside today, nice temperatures, and the braking on that board is savage. Much stronger than what I was expecting. I'm stunned that this is kind of being considered like a budget board, especially for the price. Exway have done an unbelievable job on this new Flex. It's kind of met all my expectations and more. But I've also got to say that if they had made a board like this when the boosted board was kind of at its peak, this would have absolutely crapped all over it. So fair play to Exway. A couple of notes about the design. I think it's been well made when you just look at it from a distance. On the website, it looked like it was well made, and now that we have one in our hands, nothing about the board feels cheap or plasticky. Like, you know, you get some boards like, for example, Meepo boards. I hate to throw them under the bus, but I've never picked up one of their boards and been like, this feels like a quality product. Whereas this Exway board, the Flex, I'm really surprised at the way it's been constructed. It looks and feels like a great board. Coming from riding and preferring double kingpin trucks, the seismic trucks on the Exway Flex are also great. I didn't feel like my range of motion in terms of turning and carving was as restricted as it feels on other boards that just have your standard trucks. Of course, if you haven't guessed already, we clearly went for the belt-driven version instead of going for hub, because I think it's pretty safe to say that both myself and Ricky aren't fans of hub motor boards, purely because of how thin those rear wheels are and how much it affects your ride. So in my opinion, I think going for the Riot option on this particular board is definitely the one, especially from the performance we've got so far. Now, of course, going into things like the range, we're going to be touching on that properly when we do a full-on review of this board. This is just a quick first impressions of my thoughts. But my opinion of this board, it's definitely met my expectations and more. I'm really impressed with what they've done so far, and I'm really looking forward to range testing the board to see exactly what we can get out of it. But we need definitely a few more weeks to have some fun on it before we give you our final thoughts after we put together a review. But hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight into, if you're sitting there wondering if this is a board you should pick up, if this is the type of board that you want, I don't see why you shouldn't pull the trigger on this one. So far, so good. We're very, very impressed. I'll hand you over to Ricky and you can hear what he has to say about the new Flex. Take care, guys.
So the Exway Flex, 3 things that stand out to me on this board. Number 1 is the price. Number 2 is the price. And number 3, you guessed it, it's the price. I cannot believe Exway have come out of a board at about £570.
590.
I said about. I don't have to be precise.
Okay.
I can say what I want, I can tell you what price I want. No, I can't believe they've come out of a board at that price. The price of this board is absolutely insane, especially with the build quality of this board. That's the first thing that I picked up as soon as I touched and felt this board. The way that it's been constructed, just the way that it feels, everything just feels just so nice and smooth and lovely. I like the spongy grip tape it's got on it. It's just a really, really well constructed board. So if you're looking to buy a board that's got a great build quality at that type of price, then the Exway is definitely 100% a no-brainer. But touching on a little bits and pieces like the speed of the board, so it's able to achieve around 27 miles per hour. The speed feels really, really good. Obviously, you need to spend a little bit more time with it. We've had a few rides on it, and it's just a first initial impressions. But the speed of the board feels great. Torque, good again. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. So the torque on the board could obviously, I would appreciate more, but like I said, the 3 main things at that price point, I can't really knock this board whatsoever. Now the trucks on this board for me, jumping on it, like Chris said, when he jumped on it, I mean, we was nearly falling off the board. We're so used to double kingpin trucks being able to just lean a bit and have so much maneuverability. You jump on that board, you go to turn, and you're falling off all over the place. It's quite funny and hilarious to watch, actually. But yeah, the trucks, we had to loosen those right up. So the bushings on there are probably like, I'd say they're a good stiffness because I'm quite a light rider, and I could undo the trucks on there and still have a great bit of maneuverability on it. So for bushings and the trucks for me have been great. Obviously, I always prefer double kingpin trucks, but the trucks on here are really, really good. So yeah, the ride of this board, the way that it's actually felt to ride, obviously coming from AT wheels, they've been like a comfort to me. They're my little go-to wheels that I love to use. I just don't have to think about riding. I was really surprised in the way this board felt, and I'm probably due to the way that how soft these wheels are, but they just seem to glide over the bumps and the lumps pretty easy. I didn't have to sort of be too cautious about where I was riding. So the ride of this board has actually felt really great. Like the board's called the Flex. That absorbs a lot of it. That little bit of shock absorbent grip tape they've got on there, that absorbs a little bit of it and probably helps as well. So overall, the actual ride of this board has been really, really nice to ride. It's been really refreshing to jump on something that's not an AT board and just go for a ride. And it's been fun to enjoy. And the Flex is, from what we've gathered so far, a great board at a great price. If I haven't mentioned that or you haven't heard about the price, it's ridiculously cheap. In comparison to any other boards out there. Like Chris said, we'd really like to get some of the Backfire boards out there. So if Backfire, if you're watching, hit us up, or if we hit you up, please get back to us because we'd love to try your boards out. But yeah, first impressions of the Exway, great board, loving it so far and can't wait to get on it, put a few more miles on it so we can give you a full review. So thanks for watching. If you've watched it all the way to the end, really appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so you stay up to date with all the videos that we post. But once again, it's been an absolute pleasure and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Peace.